sure what I was going to do with it.
One of our main focuses is global collaboration.
You have to prove how you can get to over 350 5th through 9th graders.
It's hard to see. You can't see how different your search results are from anyone else's.
We have spent a great deal of time and money considering, purchasing, and integrating new technologies into our classrooms.
Hello, we are a class of Year 5 students aged 9 to 10 at North East Primary School in Long Ashton. Long Ashton is a village about 3 miles from the city of Bristol.
Welcome to WGFS, the student-run Garrison radio program. Our podcasters are a special bunch, very interesting in their own right. These are their stories.
Time for the shout-out. Acrophobia is the fear of what? Think you know it? Shout it out. Is it ice, spiders, dancing, or heights? You've got 3 seconds. Go.
My favorite is when I get to actually work directly with the students. Sometimes I do stuff on digital identity and things like that. And that's a lot of fun.
Well, and I've always believed the holodecks are the future of education.
Hopefully everybody's aware that you can now add video to Google Forms.
First today, we have our security spotlight.
When I signed up...
Welcome to Transforming Education Through Podcasting. What you just heard was a number of great podcasts that are out there. We kind of mashed them all up together and kind of made it like an intro into a podcast for ourselves here. With your hosts, James Gubbins, Michelle Russell, and Carlos Fernandez. Happy to be here. Yep. I am James Gubbins. I'm a District Technology Coordinator with Maine Township High School in Park Ridge, Illinois. We are a 3 high school district. We also have a special education satellite school known as ARC, for which I provide most of the support and professional development for all things technology related. I also serve our administration center and most recently our special education services department in that capacity. You can reach me via email through jgubbins@maine207.org with any questions you have about today's session. I do encourage you to follow me on Twitter and friend me on Facebook as JMGubbins. You can read my blog at zendotus.net, where I'm always writing about different Web 2.0 utilities that have some kind of educational implications, so you may find that to be valuable for you. And just about everywhere else is jgubbins207. If you do a search for that, you're sure to find me out there in cyberspace looking for all kinds of new and exciting applications that hopefully will be valuable to you.
So, hi. First of all, as you guys are really quickly probably trying to write this down, just so you know, this is all posted on the ICE Wiki, the presentation, so because we have a lot of resources up here that we're sharing today, and so check out the ICE Wiki, because you can still sit there and you can take all you want, but there's so much there you'll probably miss it all, or some of it. I'm Michelle Russell, and I am a technology integration coach in Mount Prospect School District 57. And my role is really to work with teachers on integrating and using technologies within the classroom. And there's my information as well. And I encourage you to get on Twitter and follow Michelle Russell, James Gubbins, whatever he is, Gubbins. And that guy, this could be like not super serious. I mean, it's serious, but like obviously it's 2:45. Yeah, it's a long day. It's a long day. So, all right, I'm going to not talk anymore and moving on to the next one. There we go.
That was hilarious. All right, so my name is Carlos Fernandez. I'm the founder and president of my own company, Academy Line Inc. Basically, it's just a PD company. I also oversee instructional technology for Leon County Schools. That's in Florida. That's right. I flew all the way over here from Florida to see some ice. It was awesome. Being surrounded by these two, it's worth it. It's basically a school district of about 36,000 students, and my blog is fishingforedtech.com. In case you want to go check that out, you can find me on Twitter, FernandezC4. My email, feel free. And like Michelle said, we're going to be sharing this with you guys, so don't feel like you have to write this down as quick as possible because we're going to be going through a ton of stuff.
In fact, Carlos, it's right there. Your full presentation review is available at tinyurl.com/icecasting. Of course, if you have a QR code reader installed on one of your devices, you can simply snap that little speaker QR code.
And we'll put it up afterwards, so I'll give you a second or two now, but we'll also put it up, just to remind us, we'll put it up again at the end as well.
And as Michelle said, this is going to be a very casual session. We're going to share a ton of resources with you, kind of explain what podcasting is. We'll go through that. We'll
Send an email. You can also download an MP3 file as
Say
well.
that name again.
Vocaroo. I'll add it afterwards because I just thought of it, but it's VOCAROO.
Did Audio Boot, was that on both platforms?
Yes.
Yes.
They're, yeah.
Yes.
They're
Web-based.
Web-based.
And there are also apps for your devices.
The one that I want to show real quick was, it's actually, the correct pronunciation is iPadio, but I like the name iPadio, sounds a little bit better for me. For those of you that have iPads or maybe just one device, and you're not one-to-one, but you want to make the most of that one device, there's an app, it's absolutely free, it's phenomenal. You just hit the button and you start recording. This is me, I'm talking right now just like James. I click on stop, and then I'll listen to it. So, and then once I'm done, I can go and I can upload it. Once I upload it, it's going to actually throw it to iPadio.com over here. And then you can see these are just some sample trials that I've done, obviously 27 days ago. It'll load in here. You can grab the embed code, throw it onto your website. So, or you can upload, if you already have it recorded somewhere else as an MP4, you can bring it in here as well. The last feature I just want to talk to you real quick about with iPadio that I really, really like is that you don't need this. You can actually, there's a 1-800 number that you can call right from your phone in your classroom, and your students can create podcasts that way.
Oh, so like, are you saying then that students you could actually give them the phone number, and students could call in if you're a Spanish teacher,
Right.
foreign language teacher or whatever, and you want them to speak, give them the 800 number, they can speak it automatically goes.
And that's not just for Macs.
No, so
No.
that's web-based. These
Web-based.
ones are web. The only two that were like Mac,
and a
like the top row is all web-based. So everything on the top is web-based, so it can go any, it's cross-platform. And then down here, yeah.
Can more than one kid call into the number?
I don't think at the same time.
No, not at the same time. But what we've seen is actually they're together. They'll go to each other's house and then they'll kind of take turns talking. And also, there's a feature within iPadio where you can upload up to 4 images. So what we're seeing is that along with the actual podcast, they can take a picture of themselves, and now me, the teacher, I can see, okay, that was these 4 kids.
And you can do that with Audio Boo as well. We want to just talk very quickly about the workflow of a podcast. We're not going to actually show you the links that we have, but you can click on those later. We basically put in our pre-production our show plan, who our guest is going to be for our podcast, what kind of content we're going to be talking about. In the one document, you'll see like our bumper is there, so that's the front end of the show, what we say at the very beginning. So there's like our pre-production planning meeting right there. For production, we actually use Google Hangouts, and we'll show you that in just a little bit, we hope. And then in post-production, we download the video from the YouTube, which is where Google Hangouts end up going when they're live. And we then edit out the audio using Audacity, and then because we're part of EdReach, they work with WordPress. And so we upload everything to WordPress, and it goes there. That's our hosting provider.
It seems like a lot, and it takes us about 2 weeks to get it from start to
So
finish.
once you get to Audacity, so that's where you're doing some clipping and cropping.
Yes.
Yeah, so
right.
Audacity
That's
or
post-production,
GarageBand is like your
getting
post-production.
Cleaning it up.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you're going to do it with your students, there's really not, if you're just going to do students, you don't necessarily need to do so much post-production. Like
Right.
for us, we try to be semi-professional occasionally, so we do it that way.
Yes?
With using Google Hangouts for your production, obviously you're recording and
Video.
have video at the same time. So then why are you going to Audacity as a next step?
Because then we upload it as that podcast with just the audio, and then people can download that to their different devices and take it with them, listen to it on the road while they're on the treadmill, whatever.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Now, hosting services are important. Here's a couple that we recommend that you check out. We don't have time to really look at them. Of course, there's iTunes. It's not really a hosting service. You have to host your audio somewhere else, but then you create an RSS feed for that audio and you associate it within iTunes. Podomatic is where I started. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. Finding and listening, obviously you can find great ones at iTunes, Stitcher, EdReach, of course. EdReach has got a great series of different podcasts and vodcasts out there. Podcastpedia.org, even SoundCloud. If you do a search for podcasts on SoundCloud, you're going to find some great stuff.
And I want to throw out here too is that while these are web-based type of things, there are apps for it as well. And so so I have a Stitcher app on my Android phone, and I can listen to a variety. I can subscribe. So subscribe's like a subscription that I can subscribe to listen. Yes.
Is this more of like then if you want to publish it? If I just want, I knew you said about embedding it, like
Yeah.
a patio.
Right. So
If
this
I
would be
do
more
it
like
there,
publishing it. You're going to do
Correct.
I
multiple
wouldn't have
of
to
them.
go through this
Yes.
stuff if I just wanted to do it.
If
like
you want to keep
on
it
my
simple,
my school
iPadio is
webpage.
great.
Yeah.
James was talking about Audio
Boot.
Audio Boot, and then there's another one. Let's see, I can tell you right now. AudioPal is also great. That's another one that takes the phone in case you like that phone idea,
Okay.
and then it creates a little widget that you can go and embed into your website.
Okay, great.
All right.
So-
There's also a number of great professional development examples out there. Of course, I do one weekly. We all encourage you to listen to that because that's our show. But there's Tech Talk for Teachers. The Community Consolidated School District. This is Nadine Norris's most recent professional development experiment. She's using iTunes U to provide PD for her staff, so that's absolutely wonderful. Number of other examples there. We encourage you to check those out. Those are just some of our favorites.
And also just to know, again, like you can do it with your students, use it as your professional development.
Yeah.
And so use those different places that we talked about for listening to it and like put it in the car while you're driving home or driving to work or.
And if you're ever looking for something for your students to kind of get involved, contact these podcasts, because I can tell you, even the Edgewood, we love having students on the show with us. So if you got students doing something really, really cool in the classroom, whatever it might be, contact them and you'll see how you, the teacher, along with the kid, will get on that show.
We've got a couple of different podcasts
So
and ideas
again,
up there
and
for you.
I just want to throw out a couple of real quick things for educational ideas that you as a teacher can use. Sub-plans. Years ago when I was a math teacher and I was coming to this conference, I was teaching 7th grade math, we were on Pythagorean theorem. I didn't trust a sub to teach Pythagorean theorem to my 7th graders. I mean, that's a big concept. And so I created basically a podcast, an audio and video type of a thing, where my students could listen to it. And then I was here, they were listening to it, and when I came back, I asked them what they thought, and they're like, that was awesome. I mean, because they were very engaged. They could stop, they could play, they can rewind. Reflections, become a character, use it as an interview. So these are just a variety of different ideas from there.
My favorite thing is just don't have any expectations. Let them go. Do something, and what I used to say, impress me.
So we're just going to talk very quickly about our show, the Edgewood Podcast, and how it came about. Much in part to the gentleman sitting here with the camera, who was doing vodcasting from his car, and he kind of inspired me to do the same thing. Yep, that's me. And so I did a show on my way home from work called Dr. Dis's Drive Time, and I just recorded it on my BlackBerry and I uploaded it, and it just wasn't working out. But Scott knew at that point that I was interested in doing this, so he and Dan Rezac and Greg Garner from EdReach approached me and said we want you to come on and do this program. Now, the Edgewood movement had already started at EduBloggerCon. Okay, we had a post from Candace Shively and Michael Walker about this. They were talking about why aren't there people celebrating the great things that are happening in education. Scott Meach from here in Illinois was there, went back to EdReach, he was also part of EdReach, and said we need to do something about this. So the Edgewood Weekly Podcast was born, and Michael Walker and Scott Meach kicked it off. Dennis Grice then joined the program, and it went strong for about 16 episodes. And then it got to be a time constraint, so Scott and Dan approached me again and said, this was just last year, ICE 2013, and said, we need this thing to get revitalized. And I said, there's no way I'm doing it alone, guys. You're going to have to let me build a team, because if I can't make an episode or somebody else can't make an episode, the show must go on. So I contacted Carlos, Michelle, and Cheryl Likowski, who's in Michigan. Unfortunately, Cheryl has been absent for a while. She's very involved with Den, and so she's gotten a little too busy for us. But we miss her. Yeah, we love you, Cheryl, wherever you may be. Hopefully we'll get her in here in just a moment. So that's how Edgewood Weekly was born for us. We kind of brought it back to life from where it was. And what we'd like to actually do is take the Edgewood Weekly Podcast live on the air right now. So we already have, I believe, Google Hangout preloaded.
You might have gotten a new one, because when I lost the internet,
Uh-oh.
Same here, I got kicked out.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
So obviously, in this case, how we do it, and using Google Hangout, you need internet, and
yes.
you need you need good internet. So we've had
Good
issues
point.
where different things have happened. So
Did you send a hangout or are we starting from
I
scratch?
sent you both one, and I sent Cheryl one. But so what you can see as they're trying to get in here. So the Google Hangout is kind of like a Skype. It's video. Anyone familiar? Are you guys familiar with Google Hangout? Love it because it links to your YouTube. So you go through Google Plus, and it links to YouTube. So Google Plus is like Facebook on Google. And it links to your YouTube channel. So when you're doing the Hangouts, it automatically goes into YouTube. So when I hit, I don't know where he's going, but when I hit record, it's going to be streaming onto here, and I think you have to take over. It's going to be streaming on to here. It's open. It's just going to move it down.
So while they're figuring this one out, one of the things that we do is, we really like to go and create an event. That's a nice feedback. If you're ever going to do a podcast, maybe get parents involved, strongly recommend that you create that event and you invite the parents to kind of come in there and participate. And that's, for us, as you can see, this is a process. Now, this is a process because we're kind of involved with the EdReach and we want to make sure that we get a good podcast out and it goes and it gets edited and so on. But if you're trying to keep something simple for your students, you can only make this as complicated as you want to. Obviously, we make it very complicated.
And what's really nice again about using Google Hangout for it is that it automatically goes into that YouTube channel. And so I was just even thinking right now on the fly is if you have Google Plus enabled and you can use the Hangouts, why not have the kids read books or do something straight within here? You don't have to have you don't need to be as like crazy as we are right now with all this little setup type of
This is usually what happens during pre-production.
With this setup, but you can have a kid come here and read the book and then go from there. So here you can see this Google Hangout. Hopefully, all right, there. Here.
And we're going to headsets now so we don't get feedback. As you can hear, we would have it if we didn't do this.
That's really, really important, the headsets.
All right, so one of the things that's great, so you can see here, we're both here within the Google Hangouts, and I'll just quickly show you. Here comes, so all three of us are in this Hangout right now, and right now, there's no on-air button.
No.
So normally what happens is right now we're off air. This whole thing is just falling apart with us, so I apologize. Right now, when you set it up, the internet going down, we were all ready to go. When you set it up, you are just setting up the video, and then there's a button in the right-hand corner that will say on air, off air, like the old school, well, not really old school, but like the radio, the actual radio, where off air, on air, the button. And so when you want to go live, you would click the on air. And so like when we all get together, we're goofy or whatever, you're getting your kids ready. I have schools who have used Google Hangout for broadcasting like a show, like a musical show to everybody, because as soon as you hit that on air, then you're on air, you're streaming, you're good to go, it goes into YouTube. And so right now what Jim is doing is he is creating the event again and inviting the people again.
Carlos
and
we've had this before where it's taken us, I think we had issues once.
Just don't do it, just do you.
We're doing it.
We had issues once that took about an hour, and then other times it's been,
You're right.
30 seconds.
And what's funny is we usually have a guest on the program, and so they're watching us go through this craziness, and it just usually goes ahead and fine. We'll just do me. It'll be just me and Michelle today. You're out, Carlos. There she is. There he is. Okay.
They can never get rid of me.
So you can see right now. We practiced this. I was like we did, and so it's really frustrating when it doesn't work.
Yes.
So right here you
It's
can
loading,
see.
it's slow, that's
right,
why
so
it's
it's
not-
loading
it's
there,
not ready to go
but
live.
then it also says it's offline. So when we're ready to go, so like right now, you can have your students get prepared. You can get prepared. You can do whatever. I mean, you could quite honestly use the Google Hangout to record a lesson in class.
Start broadcast.
And then
Get
go.
it.
So now I'm off air. Right down here, start broadcast, and it will say you're about to broadcast publicly, because now I'm going to go public because we're live on air, so if anyone wants to see this great podcast that we're creating, they can now. So it says start broadcast. and
It
you'll see
started.
right up
We're
here.
live.
We're live. We're local.
We're live, we're local.
That's WGN.
So we'd start off with our bumper and we'd say, hello and welcome to the EduWin Weekly Podcast, part of the EdReach Network. Giving educators a voice, a big voice. On this program, we celebrate educational victories, both big and small, in the classroom and around the world.
And normally what would happen actually was he would actually be in the podcast.
Well, I hear myself.
He's not. But, so he would be in there, we'd be recording our things, and you would see down here, like before, the different areas down here. Another nice feature of Google Hangout is we can add titles or,
I think it's because your screen isn't maximized.
I am, and titles and all, we can all that. When we're done and we're ready to stop the broadcast, we click stop broadcast. Once we hit stop broadcast, it takes a little time. You'll see this still says live, so we kind of just smile at the camera. And now the broadcast is offline. So now that it's offline, it, if we did it correctly, should have gone directly, automatically to our YouTube channel.
And the question is, can we remove it from the YouTube channel?
Well, we will be removing it from the YouTube channel.
So, I think
Before we go viral.
I'm going to guess it's on this one right
Teachers
here.
have no idea what they're doing.
Oh, stop.
All right, so there, so you can see, there's me talking, you know, and whatever. But it's that simple in the fact that, it sounds crazy, I just said that simple when it just took us 10 minutes to do. But once you, isn't it great when you're presenters, it doesn't work? Just so you know, it happens to us as well. But what I want to basically note is it can be simple in the fact, or simple or less steps, because you're going to go online, you're going to start the Google Hangout, it's connected to your YouTube account, and when you click that stop broadcast, it automatically goes here, you have it, you could then send teachers or send your students to your channel on YouTube that has your whole entire thing. So it's, you know, again, I know we probably just didn't make it seem.
I think that was just because we lost internet and we were all set and ready to go. Unfortunately, it did fail on us. That's going to happen. You know, you're going to hit roadblocks. It was going to be a lot of fun. We were planning on bringing actually Cheryl in live from Michigan. That was our goal. That obviously didn't work. So just to show you that we actually do a program, let's take a look at EduWin Weekly episode 35, which we just did about, what was it, 2 weeks ago? Or a week ago with our special guest, Lisa Westman. You can tell we're waiting for it to go live. Except I've got that on here.
Podcast, part of the EdReach Network, giving educators a voice, a big voice. On this program, we celebrate educational victories, both big and small, in the classroom and around the world. This week, the EduWin crew, Michelle Russell, Carlos Fernandez, and myself,
So
James
anytime
Gubbins,
the person
are
who's
pleased to
talking,
be joined by
it switches
Lisa
to the person
Westman,
that's
who is
talking.
at Lisa
So yeah, it
_
automatically
Westman
switches,
on Twitter.
or like if we
And
like
for the
make
past
like
10 years,
a noise,
has
like
been
you
teaching
sneeze,
in Niles
it would
Township
switch
right
to
here in
you.
Illinois,
You can turn
as
that
well
feature
as
off,
at the
but
Center
you can
for
see here, and then
at
we also
Northwestern
we
University.
put like,
Most
which is a part of the
recently,
Google
she's
Hangout, we
been
can put like our titles in there so that people, but again, your students could do something like that as well. It's just a click of a button. Adding your name and stuff is the easy part, for truth. And then you just click, and then as you're listening to it, when Lisa talks, Lisa's face comes onto the screen.
7th grade extended learning program for English language arts at McCracken Middle School in Skokie, Illinois, which is similar to an honors program. Lisa has taught gifted and regular English language arts, social studies, and humanities for 6th and 8th graders.
As you can tell, we give our guests a very nice introduction.
Welcome to the program, Lisa.
Hi, everybody.
All right,
Loud enough there, but
and we will be diving into your story.
As I said earlier, what we really do on this program is we celebrate educational victories, both in the classroom and around the world. And the reason that Lisa was brought onto the program is because we saw a Facebook post from one of our colleagues, and her daughter was actually in Lisa's class. Son, excuse me. And so Lisa had this great Shark Tank project, entrepreneurial stuff for her students. And on a whim, she emailed Mark Cuban and said, you know what, we'd like you to come in and kind of do a Shark Tank kind of thing if you have time. And, you know, he not ever expected you to hear anything from Mark Cuban, right? He emailed back and said, you know what, I can't actually be one of your judges, I'm not going to have that kind of time, but how about I Skype in with your students? And sure enough, he Skyped in with her students, and that's kind of what brought her to us, and so we had a big, long conversation about that. And this class that she did was absolutely phenomenal. So our goal is to celebrate those educational victories. We're watching for the hashtag of EduWin on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn. And if you're using that hashtag, then we go out and we select a few and we share them with an audience. And
one of the questions that we get a lot is, I don't think what happened today is an EduWin. From a teacher, I'm like, well, tell us what happened today. And what they don't realize is an EduWin could be of any size. So we're looking for something as minor as that connection with one student, a student that something happens out of the ordinary in a positive manner, or just a student saying thank you. We get a lot of former students kind of coming back to talking to the teachers and saying, that person changed my life. And then that teacher tells us about it. Then that's kind of a big deal. So everybody has different sizes, and we're kind of always looking for something that stands out, whatever it might be, and that's what we want to hear. In a time where we need so much more positive in education, we see the wrong things in the news when it comes to teachers and strikes and whatever it might be. We want to kind of showcase what's really going on in the classroom, the positive stuff.
So the important thing to note about that is that you have a purpose behind what you're doing. It's not necessarily just getting your students on the radio, so to speak, on air saying, hey, everybody, I'm this person and I like popcorn. That's not the point. The point is that it's educational content and giving your students a voice, or your teachers a voice, or whoever it may be, to share their information. Yes?
So I take it your podcasts always include video.
They do.
And so, I'm a big fan of podcasts, just kind of the popular ones, but I always just listen to them in audio.
Mm-hmm.
They take up a lot less space in my iPod, and I can listen to them when I'm walking, working out, in the car, whatever. So why did you decide to do video instead of just audio, and what is your listenership?
Well, I can speak for the video. One of the things, keep in mind, it's not just video. That's where James goes and kind of rips it and puts it onto Audacity.
Right.
And then it gets put into, I know Stitcher Radio,
iTunes,
and so on.
So you can still do the audio.
Right. We strip out the audio using Audacity.
I think that by doing it as a video, I think as a whole, the whole kind of network has kind of changed to doing more video. We can be more personal with each other, because right now, it's from our standpoint at least, or at least from mine, is I can see these guys when I am talking to them, and we can see their facial expressions, and I think you can see a lot more about the person and about what's going on by seeing them. We're video. I never, Jim and I knew each other. I didn't meet Carlos until Wednesday night, but I feel like I knew him person. I saw him and it was video. And so for this type of a situation, this type of a podcast, I think it's easier from my standpoint that I'm not just sitting talking to a wall. I'm sitting it's like I'm in a phone conversation.
I want to see the teacher. Teacher, we're kind of empowering them. We're giving them a voice, and we want to, or student, which we've had students in the show before talk to us about their amazing projects, and we want to give them that channel to kind of get some recognition.
One thing about the video, though, you do have to be very cognizant of what you're doing. You don't want to have a look on your face like, what? So
have you had offers for advertisements that makes a little money off this?
Well, I will turn that to Scott and let Scott address that, because we are part of the EdReach network, and Scott is one of our leaders. So, Scott.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, EdReach was built around giving educators voice, being able to provide just content. There's so many great things that happen within our classrooms, within our schools. It's sharing all that information. So when we created the EdReach network, it was really around that idea of how do we give educators a voice to get out there. It's self-funded. So basically, this is all on our dime right now, and we have had a number of companies start to reach out to talk to us about advertising. There's advertising at EdReach. Is one of our email addresses. But we're very, very selective about who we try and get on. Just recently we started, we had some branded channels where we were working with phenomenal companies like Subtext and TechSmith, who had basically were spinning up a show, but not around advertising their products, but just, again, celebrating teachers and the things that they're doing. And oh yeah, by the way, they just happen to be using Camtasia to leverage some of this. We've started just recently doing a little bit of pre-roll bumpers, but again, very small, just to try and see if we can monetize some of this. And it's not to make money off of it, in essence. We're just trying to break even.
Keep the lights on.
And keep the lights on. Because right now, all it is a drain out of a few of our pocketbooks. And what we want to do as soon as we break even is we want to be able to reward these guys, because they're doing amazing things all the time.
But you know what? Our reward is being able to talk to these educators, to be very honest with you, Scott, and to be able to celebrate what's really happening out there. That's exciting for us. That's why we're jazzed up about this. We're able to share this kind of information out there. And we hope that you have found this session enlightening, fun, and you know what? To be honest, today's edu-win for me is actually the fact that we weren't able to get live on the air, because now we actually have this session again tomorrow, and we're going to figure out what just happened. So that's an edu-win. We grow, right? We grow from our experiences.
The one thing we would like for you guys to do as an exit ticket is sometime within the next 30 minutes, if you can get on Twitter, and to use the hashtag edu-win. Tell us and what was your positive moment from this conference so far, and we'd love to hear it. And who knows, we might be contacting you to be a guest on our show.
Because remember, if you don't share, who will know?
Thanks.
That's his ending line. It's my favorite. If you don't share, who will know?
Can you put that QR code up there again?